My name is Brent. Welcome to Cloudy the Chance of Meeples. Today we are looking at the Era Medieval Age playmat, as well as we will check out the Era Medieval Age collector set number 1, a little mini expansion for Era. This playmat looks super sweet on the table. I have to say, it kind of, makes the game you're playing with all these buildings, kind of brings it all together in this nice playmat. It does take up a fair amount of space, but the game itself takes up a good amount of space because it has tons and tons of little buildings that you're putting on your pegboard and whatnot. But I just wanted to point out a couple things that I wish that Plan B would have done. As you can see, it has, you put the 6 wall here, the 5, 4. It shows you that, and then you put all the keeps here, and the noble die, and the farms up there, and you put the hospital and the cathedral, and it has everything for the base game on this mat. But there's more content than just the base game, and I'm wondering why Plan B Games or Eggerspiel didn't plan ahead and get this ready for the future content, like the Roads and Rivers expansion. Take this little area, for example. In this area, you would put the lumber mills. So in a 4-player game, you're going to play with 4 lumber mills, and you put them there. Okay? You have a whole bunch of area still left. Like, it's just wasted space, right? And the university, you're only going to be putting a couple here in a 4-player game. In a 2-player game, you're just putting 1 of these, right? And so, or 2 and 3-player game, just different accounts of how many of these buildings. But I would have loved to see these areas still be these areas, but without the little image there. Let's say you're playing a game with the expansion, and you're not playing with the lumber mill, but rather you're playing with the roads or the joinery. Without this little image there, you put the roads there, and yes, I get it that it covers it up, but just a little nitpick, much like, the monastery. If you're not playing with the monastery and you're playing with the little chapels instead, just have the colors so you can just match up the colors. And same for, when you have the trade fair and just different things like that. So that would have been really cool to see that Plan B just kind of, forward plan and plan, ironic, never mind. Anyways, but I'm nitpicking. The mat looks super amazing for people with a little bit of OCD and they don't match up and stuff. That might be an issue, but it is what it is. We're also going to check out, like I mentioned, collector set number 1, and this brings in a couple new buildings. This brings in, you have the harbor, and the harbor you must build up against the edge of your domain with the boat on the outside, facing on the outside, so it can never be walled in. When you build this, you then get this super cool, powerful die that has a whole bunch of, not new things, but one new thing, but, you got 2 trade goods. You also have, 3 builds. You have what I call the Royal Sampler. You got to build a rock, a disaster, as well as a trade good. 2 culture, 3 rock, and then it has this one which lets you trade a trade good for other resources. So I believe 1 trade good could be traded into like 2 rock, and there's no limit as to how many you do, and you do this during your build step. So that could really benefit you. You also when you get this at the end of the game, every townhouse you have built with these blue dice, each of those blue dice are 4 victory points. So pretty powerful building. You also get the Great Hall, another powerful building. Looks pretty sweet. It can only be built in a completely walled city. So you just want to build your city as fast as possible, or maybe build it much smaller, or maybe build a super tiny city and then just jam it in there just to get this powerful die. 2 attack, 3 attack. This blocks all attack for a round. 5 attack, 2 trade good, and then 2 trade good as well as 2 disasters. So pretty powerful dice. It piggybacks much like the harbor with these. Great Hall piggybacks 4 victory points for every noble die, and then it also comes with 1 of these bishop die, and this correlates with the cathedral. So the first person to build a cathedral then gets this die. And also building the cathedral doesn't trigger or progress the game along to end the game. So that's pretty sweet. And then you got these cool things. You got 4 wheat, a rock, and 2 wood. You have a feather, much like the clergy die, disaster, as well as 2 culture there. And on the other final side is 2 shields to protect yourself, as well as this little scroll. And that little scroll lets you and you can set one of your dice, even that one, to any result after your 3rd roll. So that's pretty sweet, kind of like the feather, but a buffed up feather. So those are the things in the collector set. I will say you also get this little booklet, and it tells you the cost of all these things. And I would have loved to see them include Plan B, include these little cards. This is from the Rivers and Roads expansion. And it just shows you, how many you use in a game. Obviously, it would be 1 because there's only 1 of each. But it tells you kind of what they do, and it tells you the resource cost of it. And I would have loved to see that for these, because I believe in the other collector series, they have these cards for the new buildings. And it would be really sweet, so you don't have to have this little paper just, on the outside of your playing area, just reminding people. And then it has all of these. And I get it, after you play it a few times, you'll remember this and figure it out. But it would have been nice just to have, uniformed little pages like this, or little player aids like this. But overall, I think this is a really sweet mini expansion. And I know, like I said, there's a total of 5 of them. And so, yes, this one, highly recommend. Super cool if you are a fan of Era. And like I said, the playmat looks fantastic. Not totally compatible with anything outside the base game, but there you are. Check it out. My name is Brent. Check us out on Facebook, Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples. Till next time, grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.